Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. This is going to be a quick little update of what's happening in Ukraine, at least as is important to my way of thinking. And it of course, relates to the potential for World War III. And I think we're in World War III right now. I just think it doesn't look like World War II or World War I. Of course, we could go back to conventional weapons. Everybody realizes World War III will not be and was never going to be conventional weapons. If anything, World War III would be nuclear. I think we've skipped past nuclear war. No one wants that. There's too much damage to even the country that starts a nuclear war. I think what we'll move to is EMP and this idea of financial sanctions and economic warfare. I think we're past any sort of conventional war at this point in time. Some updates here. Russia threatens attack on NATO weapons shipments to Ukraine, legitimate targets. This is what I've been saying for a while. As countries, NATO countries included, pile weapons into the Ukraine, it was just a matter of time before Russia decided, you know what, if these people keep putting in, sending weapons, then they're going to become a legitimate target. And honestly, I said, I don't know why they didn't decide that to begin with, other than nobody wants to go to have World War III, including NATO. But now Russia's basically warning it's a legitimate target. We warned the United States that the orchestrated pumping of weapons from a number of countries is not just a dangerous move, it's a move that turns these convoys into legitimate targets. Ryabkov said in the remarks, which served as a severe warning to the West. So again, the more the U.S. or NATO nations, Poland, etc., try and send weapons to Ukraine to help them, which is slowing down Russia. Russia's having a hard time in there. They wanted this over and done with in 72 hours, let alone going on 2-3 weeks here to try and finish the thing. So Putin is exasperated, very frustrated, and they're now bringing in mercenaries. And in fact, both countries are. Russia's bringing in mercenaries, hired fighters, basically, from Syria and other locations. And of course, Ukraine has an open offer, an open invitation to any mercenaries who want to fight with the Ukrainian army. So they're both bringing in people from all sorts of other countries, including U.S., Britain. As I mentioned, there's a veteran special ops guys already in Ukraine at this point. So this is effectively a world war. I don't think it's going to be conventional. It could go nuclear, but I think what is more likely, again, is an electromagnetic pulse. All Putin has to do, he doesn't have to take out our nuclear reactors or United States nuclear reactor. He doesn't have to take out the military in the United States. All he has to do is take down the internet for an extended period of time, or take out our water supply, or take out our supply chain and affect it in some way via ransomware attack or some other hack, enough such that the citizens of the Western countries can't live. And, if the internet goes down for even 12 hours, it would be mayhem because everybody would be panicking. They wouldn't know what's happening. There would be no news. Of course, no one has, amateur radio, these sorts of things anymore. So no one would have any sort of news as to what's going on. And there would be absolute panic if the internet went down. So again, all Putin has to do is take out the internet. And isn't it convenient that, I guess it was yesterday, was the deadline to move Russian internet service providers over to the Rusnet or something like that? Their own internal internet, which is disconnected, or at least able to be disconnected from the World Wide Web. And that insulates them. It isolates them, but it also insulates them should they choose to attack, in terms of a cyber attack, the rest of the world and the internet of the rest of the world, especially United States, Britain, Canada, Australia, whomever else may be waging economic sanctions against them. So it's a great situation for them to be in, a great excuse for them to get ready to launch a cyber attack, again, which would be, I think, far worse and far more devastating than even conventional or even nuclear weapons. Biden says NATO-Russia conflict would be World War III, warns Kremlin of severe price of chemical weapons used. So news is coming out, it's all over, that there were several different virus labs in Ukraine working even on coronavirus in bats, just like in Wuhan. And Russia apparently, the suggestion is that Russia knew this. This is one of the reasons Russia invaded Ukraine, although it wasn't out in the open. Apparently, he didn't announce this originally. If I were him, I think I would have announced that originally and said, "Here they are, and we're going after them." Regardless, there's lots of virus labs there, and with all the war, the shelling, who knows what sort of diseases will get out. And of course, we know that part of the force of the apocalypse is a great pestilence on top of great famine, on top of great economic collapse, on top of great war. And so, effectively, you look at all the aspects of the force of the apocalypse, and we're starting to hit them, and it hasn't quite reached us in the West yet. Gas prices are high, but otherwise, stores are stocked, shelves are stocked at the grocery, and so it hasn't really hit us yet, but I think it will hit the whole world. It will be so bad to the point, and I've said this before, where people are absolutely desperate to accept a world leader and a mark of the beast system. I think it's getting close. I don't think there's a lot of time left. Now, in terms of the information that's coming out of Russia, this is a new one. I had up until now used DuckDuckGo as it provided better, more free flow of information than say Google as a search engine. But DuckDuckGo is now going to update its search engine. It's going to start penalizing sites associated with, quote, disinformation. Now, it sounds great on the top, but the end result is who is deciding what is disinformation and what is not. Could they all of a sudden decide that maybe creation science is disinformation? Maybe Christianity is disinformation? Who knows what they're going to decide going forward. So once they start to clamp down on free speech, that's kind of the end of the line. Now, there are suggestions, by the way, that the Brave browser, BRAVE browser, you can Google that or DuckDuckGo that, and that's a separate, more secure browser where you can search privately and get all the information in theory, and not have disinformation automatically removed for you, because you know what, you may need to see that. And I told you before, you need to be watching Russian propaganda websites. You need to be watching Iran's presstv.ir. You need to see what they're saying and see what the Western media is saying. And you know what? The truth is going to be somewhere in between. And that's why it's important, because not all the information on those is disinformation or propaganda. There will be bits of truth in there, as there are bits of truth in Western media. And there is propaganda. Don't be fooled. Anything you watch on TV, mainstream media, there's propaganda. There's propaganda everywhere, even non-mainstream media. There's propaganda and misinformation everywhere. You have to pick through that as a person by yourself and decide what is accurate. Line it up to the other information that you're collecting, and line it up and put it against what the Bible says is going to happen in the last days. And then you'll get an idea for, what sort of information is real. And at this point in time, there's so much disinformation and propaganda happening in Ukraine. Many people are just trusting mainstream media, and that's a problem, because Ukraine is not completely guiltless. And Russia is not completely good or bad or other. They're both bad in their own ways. You can make arguments one way or another for which one may, be doing God's will or something like that, or where God's plan is being fulfilled. At the end of the day, we don't know all the details of either of them. All we can agree on is that we need to support the civilians, the refugees who aren't part of the war, and pray for their safety and health, and pray for peace. That goes with Russians who now are experiencing bank runs, can't get food, maybe can't pay their bills, and because of their government. So you need to look at both the sides of it. Now I'll end with this. This is the templemount.org. They have an interesting video about the priestly garments and how they dye the yarn. Now, the Temple Institute has been collecting, recreating, making, getting prepared for the third temple, which they believe is coming soon. And they continue to make garments for the high priest and the headgear, and for the other priests, the Kohanim, the Levitical class that served as priests in the third temple. They're making all the garments, and they're dyeing them in a traditional way. So this is pretty interesting. There's a gold coin, or not coin, but bell, I guess, that that hangs on the bottom of the priestly garments. Here is a look at some big curtains. Let me see if I can find. I don't know if there was another picture of where they were hanging up. Anyway, suffice it to say that they're making all the implements, the gold, silver, the garments, etc. It's pretty amazing. Here's a look at some of the yarn and the colorful yarn. Apparently there was only 4 colors used in those days in the temple, and they show you how they actually dyed them using bugs and various things. Very interesting stuff. There's a look at the tassels and the dyed yarn that go on the priestly garments and various things. So again, a very interesting video. Go check out templeinstitute.org. And they have some other ones as well. They have a video of someone weaving a high priest's robe, I guess, again, in a traditional sort of manner, getting ready for the third temple. So when the time comes, they will have everything ready to go. Now, I'd be interested to know what is left for the Temple Institute to make. They're still making things. Maybe they're just making more of the garments. But pretty much, I think they're ready to go. They have all the gold and silver pieces, the gold menorah, the laver, all those other implements and cups and tools needed for sacrifices in the third temple. They're ready to go. So all they're waiting for is the go-ahead, effectively, to start the sacrifices. So pretty fascinating stuff. Templeinstitute.org. I keep up on it, pay attention to it, look for updates on this. No updates yet on the red heifer that I've found. If anybody has seen anything, do let me know. I think that's a very fascinating thing. That's one of the last pieces, really, to have either a new red heifer or new ashes of a new red heifer, or to find original red heifer ashes. And there's suggestion that they may have access to the original ashes as well, so they don't necessarily need new ones or new ashes. But anyways, folks, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Be prepared. The time is short, and we're looking at things going down pretty quick. If you don't have some food stored away, you don't have some maybe solar or alternative energy options, you don't have some communication devices, I would highly suggest to get them. We never know what's coming. There could be something happen in 15 minutes, or maybe nothing big happens in the Western world for the next 30 years. But that's really the thing. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We put our faith and trust in the Lord, but we also use the wisdom that God gave us to prepare, like Joseph did in the 7 good years, because he had a dream and a vision that 7 bad years were coming. So he stored up grain so that he could feed the people. And that's what we will be. We will be a witness and be able to provide for people in the real days of hardship. And so be prepared. I look at things like electromagnetic pulses and cyber attacks, and I think really at this point that is the most dangerous, the thing that could cause the most trouble and pain and sorrow in the Western world, taking out of our internet, taking out our technology. And I think Russia is well aware of that. Every country in the world knows that. You take out the technology and that society is effectively going to collapse. No one knows how to plant a garden anymore, let alone till the ground or do any canning and these sorts of things. And me included, I need to get knowledgeable about that stuff. But what you can do is you can buy books while they're still available. Get books on canning, get books on gardening, so that should the time come, you can survive, you can garden, get some seeds. This would be a great time as spring is coming, and many are planting in the U.S. already. Get seeds and start your garden. This may be the year where you absolutely need it, with the price of gas going up, with and the price of diesel. That means all food is going to increase. Massive food inflation coming to a store near you. And it's already hit here, to be honest with you. You'll start seeing, a 10%, 10 cent, 15 cent, 50 cent, a dollar increase in prices of food. And by the time you add up your bill, that's a lot of money going towards that. And again, not even counting the cost of the gasoline to get there. So thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there. Be prepared. We'll see you in the next video.